Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to have some Division 20 ranked online gameplay in the flyweight division. And in today's gameplay I'm going to be using Brandon Moreno, and that's because I feel he doesn't get the respect he deserves, especially on the game. He's very good to use, and just because of how stacked this division is in terms of fighters that are very good. I mean, you've got Cejudo, Dillashaw, Figuered, you've got Dimitri Mouse, Johnson, Benavidez. You've got so much talent in just these. I mean, the top six fighters in the division, they're all extremely versatile. They're all extremely well balanced, and often or not, I don't find myself coming up against Moreno. And when I'm using him, I like to be fairly aggressive, just because I don't have that threat of being taken down. Because if I am taken down, I'm more than content with being on the ground with Moreno, whether it's off my back or whether I'm on top. And so when I use him, I like to push the pace a lot. I like to be very, very aggressive. And we're coming up against Triple C, Henry Cejudo. And we know that Henry Cejudo, if often or not, people are going to look to grapple with Henry. But another thing is, a lot of people use him just to counter wrestle. And as you can see here, my opponents are in Division 17. I know I'm going to have the reach advantage, so that's something I'm going to be looking to utilise. And overall, I'm just going to try to overwhelm my opponent. And pressure fighting is a very good way of fighting, but it's also very dangerous, because you miss one punch and they hit you when they slip. Often not, you're going to get rocked, especially if they're using a good fighter with good boxing. So you've got to be very careful with how you pressure fight. And in this video, I'm just going to show you an example of how I would pressure fight. Starting off the fight early, you can see I'm throwing a lot of combinations, and my opponent's doing a good job to move his head. And this is something that I've picked up on. And normally I'll take the first round off just to pick up my opponent's patterns, but where I'm pressure fighting, I'm going to look to engage quite a lot, throw a lot of volume. And as you can see, I've started to realise that my opponent's moving his head a lot, so I'm now starting to utilise the body shots and look to drain my opponent's stamina. Because one thing is, when your opponent's moving their head as much as my opponent is now, they're not going to be able to block their body or legs. So I'm really going to utilise that. As soon as I feel like my opponent's going to look to use head movement, I'm going to look to go to the body, as we hit my opponent with a beautiful uppercut there. And right now we're having the better of the exchanges on the feet, and really pressure fighting helps you in a lot of ways, because right now I'm forcing my opponent to move, and he's using a lot of stamina, using their head movement to get out of the way of the strikes. Not only that, but the more I pressure my opponent, the more likely my opponent is to break. It can force reactions out of your opponents that they don't want to do. So the more I pressure him, the more I'm forcing him to fight a style of fight that he doesn't want to fight. And facing a guy like Triple C, you can expect for them to go for a takedown. So right now, whilst I'm pushing the pace, I'm expecting my opponent to shoot for a panic takedown to alleviate some pressure. And as you can see right now, we're overwhelming him with volume punches. And whenever we're in the kickboxing range, I'm looking to utilise my leg kicks. Now we're using head movement as well to get out of the way of my opponent's big strikes. And my opponent's throwing a lot of uppercuts because he knows I'm going to the body, as I fake a body uppercut there to try to get a reaction out of my opponent. And this round so far it's been good. I've been pressuring him. I'm feeling I'm getting the better of pretty much all the exchanges. My opponent's had a couple good strikes here and there as I'm working the body. And I know right now, even though I can't see my opponent's stamina bar or health bar stats, that my opponent's body is not in the best position, and his stamina is probably lower than mine. So right now I'm setting up the foundation for the next round. I'm trying to work my opponent a lot, especially the body. As you can see, I'm constantly looking to hit that body, and body work in this game is brutal. If you can do enough damage to your opponent's body, it doesn't matter what their head health's like. It's only going to take a matter of punches before they start getting dropped, and once they're blocking low constantly, you go high and you'll end up winning the fight. So the recipe for success in this fight is obviously pressuring my opponent and working my opponent's body. And in this round we've done a good job of it. As my opponent unloads there, you can see stamina was incredibly low. So the game plan's going well with the pressure fighting. As you can see, 51 strikes to my opponent's 28 or 29, I believe. I couldn't really see. And yeah, we've just done a very good job, especially when my opponent's moving his head. We've made the adjustment of working the body. That's what you've got to do in these fights. If you see a glaring weakness, you're going to go for it, like Steve Hay did to DC in real life when he started landing those liver shots, and that's exactly what I'm doing here. So my opponent's come out very aggressive this round, and that's obviously because he's very agitated from how the last round's gone. As I go for a body uppercut there, my opponent hits me with an uppercut, which is the right way to counter it, so he's done a good job getting the stun there. But instantly I'm pressuring my opponent again, just because I know that my opponent's chin, body health and stamina is in a worse position than mine. I use the left hook now because I noticed my opponent was swaying to that direction, which results in the stun and the knockdown. And as you can see, my opponent's now frustrated and he's trying to work my body also, just because I know that he's probably getting agitated with how much body work I've been doing in this fight and how that's taxing him now. And just by how aggressive I'm forcing my opponent to fight here, it's playing into my hands, because my opponent last round wasn't as aggressive as this, curled up more into a ball and was trying to, he would try and exchange, but often not he was trying to look to avoid the pressure, whereas this round my opponent's come out and he's pressuring me quite heavily, which shows that he's fighting a fight right now that he doesn't want to. He probably wants to fight at a slower pace, but I forced him to adopt this fighting style to try and match mine. That's exactly what I want to do, and as you can see here, I'm using my range. I've taken my foot off the gas a bit. I'm letting my opponent throw all these punches, and I'm hoping that he's going to punch himself out. And as you can see, his chin health's not in a good position, as we get a beautiful leg kick there. And now we start to unload. As soon as I see that I've caused damage, I'm unloading. We get another knockdown here, and we're doing a phenomenal job of moving in and out of range. And where possible, I'm always digging at the body, because that's my opponent's main weakness right now. And where we've got the reach advantage, I can sit in a kickboxing range and just unload, and that's exactly what I'm doing. As you can see, these teeps to the body just to move my opponent back, give him something to think about, hit him with another teep. And I'm giving my opponent a different look every time I'm throwing. I'm trying not to throw the same combination so that my opponent doesn't catch the same reads. And I'm just trying to work my opponent's body constantly. And as you can see, as soon as I block, body shot. And I'm just waiting, because every time my opponent moves his head, he's going to be losing more and more stamina. And that's fine with how the fight's going. Now you can see the last minute of this round, he's nowhere near as aggressive as he was the first minute of this round. And I've started to take control of the fight again as we get another knockdown. And I could opt to go for the ground and pound, but where I'm having such success on the feet, there's no reason for me to go to the ground. And with less than 37 seconds left now, I know it's not going to take much to get my opponent out of there. And he hits me with a beautiful shot after swaying. We power through, keep punching, because I know that he's blocked slow and his head health isn't in the best position. 14 seconds left, we get the beautiful finish there. And so that's how I'd recommend pressure fighting. And as you can see, I did get caught a couple of times, but that's the risk you want to play if you're looking to pressure your opponent as much as I did there. But overall, it's a good fighting style to adopt. It's a very good approach. A lot of people can't deal with getting pressured, and they end up curling into a ball and just taking all these strikes. And we made the body work adjustment in the first round, which ultimately set up the foundation for this round's success. So this is the end of the fight now. It's going to come up with the fighter scorecards. You can see the fight stats also. Obviously, it's only going to have the score for one round because we didn't complete the second round. So it had me winning the first round. So that was the video. Please like, comment and subscribe, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.